got it going on. Hit that floor.
Okay, I'm reloading.
Really nothing but an antisocial gangster.
He is a sort of gangster, you know, because this is a gangster story, but a gangster with a difference because this is a gangster with a conscience.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow.
This is Hawk School for the gifted and the elect.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Ain't no issue. If it was an issue, you'll feel me. I just come to let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
I thought you were a black guy.
Hey.
You're Indian?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta be
What kind
kidding
of
me.
Indian are you?
Like Tonto?
Peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes. You know the vibes. Tap in.
You are cut down to the ground. You who weaken the nation.
If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Let's go.
Dom the Monk. Dom the Monko. Dom the Monko.
There's been a big controversy about whether you're an American Indian or not, and if you got your special treatment getting your job. Can you comment on that?
One, I didn't get any special treatment in getting my job on that basis or any other. I got my job the old-fashioned way. I worked for it.
And are you American
Okay?
Indian?
What's that have to do with anything? Are you a practitioner?
There's been a big controversy about whether you're an American Indian or not, and if you got your special treatment getting your job. Can you comment
Who
on that?
named you coming in?
One, I didn't get any special treatment in getting my job on that basis or any other. I got my job the old-fashioned way. I worked for it.
And are you American
Okay?
Indian?
What's that have to do with anything? Are you a practitioner of identity politics?
Actually,
Okay?
there's a big controversy in the mainland about that, so that's why I'm asking.
There is no controversy among Indians on that score.
There actually is.
There is not.
Okay, well, there's a lot of Google you, and there's a lot of controversy.
Google you.
American Indians.
It's irrelevant, and I get 65 emails from the same guy every hour in the United States.
Is that a no? Is that a no, sir?
What is it? I just said that it's an irrelevant question. What's the problem in understanding that?
Oh, is that a no? You as an Indian?
What is the problem with understanding it's an irrelevant question? That's what I said, that's what I meant.
But are you or aren't you?
It's an irrelevant question. Can you spell irrelevant? Thank you.
Did you in a
Excuse me? No, I'm not. You take it's an irrelevant question to no, I'm not?
I did. I guess you'd say yes if it weren't.
Self-evidently, I am. Now it's an irrelevant question.
I'd like
Yeah.
Wait a second. I'd like to know how you feel when because I personally have a problem with it, but I want to know how it is for you. Because this is a question people like to get hung up on, and I'm sure it's what's going to be on the news tonight.
This is flatly racist diversion from the nature of the issue.
How is it racist if we're asking you if you're an Indian or not?
Would you ask George Bush to prove he's white?
I think he's answering
Who would you ask aside from an American Indian? Would you ask a black faculty member for proof of African ancestry?
American Indians have denounced you, so that's in some places, so that's why we're
I can find white people who have announced George as being something of a mixed nature too. Does that make it something you're going to frame as a question to the President of the United States? And if not, why are you framing it to me?
That is, Professor Churchill has answered that question multiple times, and as you can hear from the crowd reaction to the back of me, I think that is an example.
Actually, let me come back for a second. Sometimes when I go to these things, I expect to encounter professional journalists. All right? If you want to know about some federal pedigree slip, you call the band office in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, like you're doing your job. Okay? Read the federal law, what the criteria of identification are. Okay? And see if, when you read your cohorts in the Rocky Mountain News, if they haven't established that I've been identifying the same way since I was a 10-year-old little boy. Self-identification is the first criteria. Community recognition is the second criteria. Grab something as obscure as C-SPAN and look at the community recognition when I spoke at the University of Colorado. And yes, I am an associate enrolled member of the Katua Band of Cherokees. If you got questions about that, don't quote another journalist. Call the office. Act like you got some integrity of your own and your professional standards.
There's been a big controversy about whether you're an American.
Hey man, stop the music. Alright? Because this is going to be one of them ones. It's been a lot of these brotherhood members, alright, seeking to steal the identity of the true nobles of the planet Earth. Let's get the new Humber out of here. Come on, bro, chill out. And we'll probably begin with the Fraternal Orders. All right. Let me see. Do we have some audio we want to play before that? I believe we do. Let me get this audio up. And then we're going to go into some reading. Let's give them a clue on what we got here, Morpheus. All right. We're going to get into, we're going to get into the Homestead Act, you know. We're going to get into some records of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We're going to get into the Wallace Rolls of the Cherokee Freedmen. All right. We're going to get into the nobles of the Mystic Shrine. All right. What else do we got for them, folks? We have let's go back to the top here. The Chronicles of the Picts and the Chronicles of the Scots. All right. And I believe this is from 1847, correctly. All right. A series of chronicles and memorials published by authority of the Lords of Her Majesty's Treasury under the direction of the Right Honorable, the Lord Clerk Register of Scotland. All right. As I should say, let me put this image back on the screen. All right, because the 5 civilized tribes are under trial. They're on trial, I should say. They're under investigation. All right? Straight up.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hawk
TV.
School for the Gifted and the Elect.
We're going to give some people some time to get in here. All right, this is just a list of the many tribes and nations. But you know, while I was doing some research, while we give some people some time to get in here before we get into the build, all right? 5 civilized tribes on trial. And no, this is not the Treacherous Tribes live stream. It is still on the way, all right? Still on the way. Here we go. Let's bring this one up. Scottish Rite Temple, Guthrie, Oklahoma. And this is courtesy of the Oklahoma Historical Site. All right. Get a good look at that right there. That's magnificent. magnificent piece of architecture there. Now, where shall we begin? We'll get to these people later. And we're going to get in a little bit. We have to get into the Scott history. There's no way to talk about the Invisible Empire without talking about the Scott history. All right, we know that. Because as we know, all right, from our previous live streams, and this is actually an old slideshow, we know that there's a great deal of so-called Negroes who participated, all right, in the overthrowing of our government, all right? And this is an excerpt from A Fool's Errand, and it says it was right there at this spot that we decided then and there we would join the secret military police system of the old Southland. That organization was the original Ku Klux Klan. Some of us were already members of the Knights of the Golden Circle. A brand new idea came into being since our faithful Negro cooks and camp tenders had helped us without fear. We elected to include into the Ku Klux Klan as many trusted Negroes as we could gather around us. So, believe it or not, in time we had enlisted and trained nearly 20,000 Negro KKKs into our police system, folks. Yes, that's... Go ahead. Get your oohs and ahs. In time, we had enlisted and trained nearly 20,000 Negro KKKs into our police system so they, the Negroes, could police and supervise their own race of people, thus freeing us from the more dangerous and critical details in dealing with the renegade whites and those lousy carpetbaggers. Ouch.
You are cut down to the ground. You, who weaken the nations.
Share the live stream, and we're gonna get to it straight up. Give them something new, man. Oh yeah, niggas in trouble.
For a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord, to do his will. I'm that nigga.
It really can go there. Just me though. On God, nigga. On my mama, nigga. On the stack of Bibles, bitch.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man? Who name you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know.
The Fraternity of Afrocentricity, giving niggas degrees in African Studies who don't know shit about the white man. What do they teach? In the African Studies Department, they teach niggas in slavery, niggas before slavery. The Fraternity of Afrocentricity. Giving niggas degrees in African Studies who don't know shit about the white man. What do they teach? In the African Studies Department, they teach niggas in slavery, niggas before slavery, niggas in the Middle Passage, niggas in the Civil Rights era, niggas in the Board of Education, niggas and some subjugated shit with some white people. Never do you hear in African Studies niggas beat the white man. Never do you hear analysis on a power dynamic. How you gonna train a black man in African Studies and they don't know shit about the white man? That's really dangerous. So there's a Leonard Jeffries who spoke with me at State University of New York admitted that they're dishonest. Our scholars are dishonest because they hate Steve Coakley for getting into this. When it's here, it should be gotten into, but they're into denial. They don't want the people. Why is it African Studies departments are primarily at white colleges, at Temple, and at State University of New York, or San Francisco State, the first African Studies department, in the 60s. Nathan Hare, who helped found it, he can't even teach there. University of Minnesota. All these schools with African Studies department are white schools. The black schools won't have African Studies because they claim to already be black. So they don't deal in that. They don't give degrees in that. So now you got black professors at white universities having to teach black children the white way. And that's turned into the Fraternity of Afrocentricity. I challenge those Negro professors on reparations, the Conrad Worrells and the others who are off on Columbus Day, who are off on Thanksgiving, who are off on Christmas. They're off on Easter. They get paid for colonial holidays and they for reparations.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is host,
TV.
the gifted and the elect.
To cover up the Aboriginal member of our people here in the West.
Peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes, peace to the tribes. Stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. Yeah. They should have been put on trial. Let me get this, let me adjust this chat. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up. Straight up. Oh yeah. We finna have some feelings today. Specifically, my nigga. We are specifically here to hurt feelings. Let's change this up real quick. Alright. Let's change this to boom. Oh yeah, niggas in trouble. Niggas is in trouble. Alright, let's get there. Boom. Alright, that should be good. Let's get into some higher learning. Why don't we get this fake Greek off the goddamn screen? This excerpt is near St. Clair, Texas. All right, just keep that in mind. Let's go to the Fraternal Orders, all right? And this is straight from the Oklahoma Historical Society, all right? Just in case there's any misunderstandings. And I'll read, and this is from the Encyclopedia of Oklahoma History and Culture, Fraternal Orders, all right? Before the development of civic clubs in the early 20th century in the United States, fraternal orders such as the ancient free and accepted Masons and the Independent Order of Oddfellows, having their origin in Europe, all right, existed in America. By the 1730s, Freemasonry was established in the United States. Membership grew following the Revolutionary War, but declined in the 1820s and 1830s during the anti-Masonic movement. In 1819, Thomas Wildly organized the first Independent Order of Oddfellows Lodge in Baltimore, Maryland. Other societies proliferated during the Progressive Era with an estimated 600 organizations and 5 million members. I said 5 million members. I said 5 million members. Among the nation's numerous fraternal orders, the Masons, the Oddfellows, and the Knights of Pythias have enjoyed the largest membership. Fraternal orders are generally defined as groups that, groups whose members are usually bound by oath and who make extensive use of secret ritual in the conduct of their meetings. And I quote, some groups have initiations of new members, offer different levels of achievement within the organization, and have secret gestures and handshakes. Typically, membership is limited to one gender, usually men. Ouch.
You are cut down to the ground. You who weaken the nation.
Over the tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive, folks. Through the years, individuals have joined fraternal organizations for various reasons. Some were joiners, but others sought various benefits. Members in fraternal orders enjoyed an early form of networking that allowed businessmen to afford each other services. Put some gems in the chat if you can hear me loudly and clearly, because we do not want this to be overlooked, folks. All right? Because right now the Scott history is being hijacked by these Brotherhood members, and we'll get into that as we get into the reading. All right?
I wonder what is the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
Through the years, individuals have joined fraternal organizations for various reasons. Some were joiners, but others sought various benefits. We read that already. Ethnic fraternities, all right, gave immigrants an opportunity to preserve their culture and to have access to insurance and economic assistance. For example, the Italians in Cribs, Oklahoma, formed the Cristoforo Colombo, all right, Christopher Columbus Society, a mutual aid club that provided insurance and sick benefits to its unmarried working men who had no family nearby. Czechs living in Prague, Oklahoma, folks, formed the Czechoslovakian Porojiki Spolik, or the Czech Slavic Benevolence Society. You know, I told these guys, all right, I have a whole, is prepared for a debate to debate anyone who thinks that the American Indian were ever any kind of pagans, ever had totem poles, or ever danced around fires, or worshipped rocks or trees, or any of that type of nonsense, folks. All right? And it seems to me that one little short trip to the Oklahoma Society, and there you have it. The Slavic people and their organizations, all right? Let me just read. For example, the Italians, all right? I really don't want to read that all over again. The Czech Slavic Benevolence Society, Lodge number 214, in 1897, folks, those members disbanded the lodge and reunited at Zapadini's Sesko Bratreska Jet Nota. Or the Western Bohemian Fraternal Association Lodge, two other Slavic lodges, okay, were organized in Perry in 1898 and in Yukon in 1899. All right. The Slavic societies were formed to provide life insurance for its men members. As the population moved west, individuals established organizations that they had joined in their former places of residence, following removal from the southeastern part of the United States to Indian Territory. That's IT if you're new here. All right. Members of the 5 tribes formed Masonic lodges, folks. It's gonna be one of those days here, all right? we intend to hurt feelings. All right, let's get this big screen up. Put some gems in the chat. All right, turn up. Let's adjust this. We want everybody to have their chance to be seen. All right, let's see if we can't adjust this a little bit for the people. Let's go with. We'll make this. That should help. All right, so we could get some more people on the screen. So put some gems in the chat if you could hear me loudly and clearly. All right, we're here to hurt feelings. All right, because these guys are not of the bloodline. All right, and what they are, they're of the bloodline of the de facto leaders, folks. All right, and they assume that the bloodline is wiped out. All right, much like the Vikings. All right. And here when we go into the history of the Scots, because a Scot could never be a Viking, folks, all right, because we fought the Vikings. Here you see in AD 793, the ferocious Viking raids began on monasteries like Iona and Lindisfarne, creating fear and confusion across the kingdoms. Orkney, Shetland, and the Western Isles fell to the Norsemen. In AD 839, the Vikings wiped out the Pictish royal family, all right, murdered everybody. The competitors emerged for the kingship, and after a long civil war, Kenneth MacAlpin, all right, king of the Gaels of Dalriata, became undisputed kings of the Picts. All right, this is 1849, and these wars go on and go on. It wasn't long before the Vikings were back, folks. All right, this time to conquer Britain. In AD 867, they seized the Anglian kingdom of Northumbria. 3 years later, they stormed the Britain's fortress of Dumbarton and conquered much of England. The Picts and Gaels were encircled. I said the Picts and Gaels were encircled, folks. The Picts and Gaels are the Scots, all right? In AD 900, Macede Constantine, all right? Macode, that becomes Malcolm later in history, became king of the Picts, all right? Within 4 years, he had defeated the Vikings. I said he had defeated the Vikings. I said he had defeated the Vikings. However, it wasn't the sword, but diplomacy that was Constantine's strength. He married off his daughter into the Viking war bands, bringing them into alliance, folks. All right, so when you see these people with our names, they are not of our blood. These people have stolen our names, have became a part. And this is why they are still set apart.
I wonder what an emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
And reformed, I said, bringing them into alliance, and reformed his kingdom along Gaelic lines, renaming it Alba. Alba was the prototype for the Scottish nation. And the true founding fathers of the nation was Constantine II, grandson of Kenneth MacAlpin. All right? The Sheo-Alpin, the Soyo-Alpin, I should say. All right, I don't want to mispronunciate it with my English. The Soyo-Alpin, Siolapin, all right, are the 7 families descended from King Alpin, this king that we're speaking of, king of the Picts. We even have Pictish carvings going back to the 9th century. All right, let's get back to these tribes, all right? Because what they did is they infiltrated our whole establishment, all right? Infiltrated the whole establishment. Where is the other one? These infiltrators. Scots aren't Vikings, all right? Scots aren't Vikings. A Melanchroy isn't a Teuton, my nigga. We got the books, all right? We got the Chronicles of Scotland right here. Where's the other? And it's in Latin, nigga. We got the Latin copy, too, if you think we don't have the primary. I digress. Talking about some goddamn Scots. It's some Vikings. Y'all gonna have to chill out. Y'all gonna have to chill out. Straight up.
Who named you coming in? By who power?
There's a little something about you that's disturbing.
Y'all gonna have to chill
Is what?
out.
It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know.
And if you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we're broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Please share the live stream. You know what I'm talking about? See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you guys jump the gun, all right? You dropped out of Hawk School too soon, and you just want to go off and do your own thing, all right? And the end of the Viking Age is traditionally set to the mid-11th century, although in Scotland, Scandinavians continued to rule the islands. Now, Scandinavians, well, they're Vikings, folks, all right? They're not Scots. After 3 centuries of Viking occupation in Scotland, the Scottish kings made great efforts to recover the Western Isles from where, folk? From who, folks? From the Vikings. The Scottish kings made great efforts to recover the Western Isles from Viking rule. Put some gems in the chat if you can see that loudly and clearly. Yeah, see it loudly and clearly. This is exactly why the Scots aren't Negroes anymore. All right? But now you have the descendants of these de facto leaders, all right, trying to fool you. All right? They're going to have you even more confused than you were. Because you're probably a Scot, all right? Let me finish reading this and then we'll get into that. The end of the Viking Age is traditionally set to the mid-11th century, although in Scotland, Scandinavians continued to rule the island. After 3 centuries of Viking occupation in Scotland, the Scottish kings made great effort to recover the Western Isles from Viking rule. Eventually, in 1263, the Viking Hakon V decided that a show of strength was required to overcome the persistent aggression from the Scots. On the 1st of October, 1263, they met in the Battle of Largs, which was a victory for the Scots and a defeat for the Vikings. All right? So stop saying these Vikings have Scottish names. Well, if they're Vikings, then they're not Scots. Victory was for the Scots and a defeat for the Vikings, who set fire to their stranded ships and retreated. This was the last Viking raid on mainland Scotland, but Scandinavian influence lasted into the 15th century, and aspects of their influence still lingers today.
You are cut down to the ground. You who weakened the nation.
To cover up the Aboriginal member of our people in the West. You gonna smell my cologne, Insimiyaki, or the bar number 9, because I do not play.
That's the same clone I wear.
Tabernacle sanctuary, because we keep God first in everything we do.
Hey, pimp.
I wonder what is the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Hawks and vultures are often seen soaring majestically high in the
sky. Ain't no issue. If it was an issue, you'll feel me. I just come to let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
It really can go there. Just me though. On God, nigga. On my mama, nigga. On a stack of Bibles, bitch.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
As the population moved west, we'll return to these Slavic brotherhoods, all right, who are probably, no doubt, connected to the Scandinavians. Well, they're brothers. As the population moved west, individuals established organizations that they had joined in their former place of residence following removal from the southeastern part of the United States to Indian territory. All right? Members of the 5 tribes formed Masonic lodges. Many prominent American Indian leaders in Indian territory were Masons. Among them were Peter Pitchlynn, John Jumper, John and William P. Ross, and Apathaleyeholo. All right? Before the Civil War, 5 lodges existed in Indian Territory. On November 7th, 1848, the Grand Lodge of Arkansas granted a charter to the Cherokee Lodge number 21, the first in Indian Territory at Tahlequah, the Cherokee Nation capital. Now, it's very interesting to me that this is the exact place that this imposter we saw in the intro of the video wanted to go and be verified at Tahlequah. All right? Now, let me do a little more reading to make this a little more clear, all right? And we're going to read some excerpts from the, the Indians, White People, and Highlanders, Indians and White People book we're supposed to be doing a build on, but I'll probably just read that book, just live read it and do like a Q&A. But we do have some excerpts, all right? Let's get them on the screen, all right? And the author says, I have used the term Indian and Native American interchangeably, folks, all right? Neither is adequate, and both are problematic in some ways. First Nations is the preferred term in Canada, but would stylistically complicate a work like this one, in which the same native groups often feature on both sides of the international border. Now, you may be saying, Hawk, you're all over the place. I can't keep up. Well, welcome to Hawk School, all right? You may have to rewind it, all right, if you're roaming the halls. Now, the author goes on to say, my preference is to use quote-unquote Indian people. In referring to particular groups, I have employed the tribal name most commonly used in English rather than the names tribal people call themselves in their own language. I use Scots to refer to the people who live north of the English border, all right, distinguishing between lowland Scots, who lived in the south and eastern part of Scotland, and Highland Scots, Gaels, who inhabited the Highlands and western Isles of Scotland, all right? And these are the Negroes, folks, but these people don't know our history enough to change it, all right? I am a descendant of Highlanders. All right, I've known this forever, it would seem. And this is reflected in my name. It's reflected in my lineage, in my genealogy. These are the descendants of Kenneth McAlpin, who inhabited the Highlands and Western Isles of Scotland. Scotch, which is usually avoided these days as a pejorative term, enjoyed common usage in earlier centuries and appears frequently in quoted materials. Scotch-Irish, or Scots-Irish, refers to the people of Scots descent who settled first in Ulster and then in North America who might more accurately be called Ulster Scots. Scots differ from Scots-Irish, who differ from the Irish, and of course they all differ from the English. British refers to English and other people who constitute quote-unquote Great Britain. All English people are British, but not all British people are English. For people of Indian and European parentage, generally, I use the term métis rather than mixed blood. For the descendants of Scottish and Indian parents, wait a minute, I thought you said Indian and European already. Because you're claiming all this Scot history. Somebody get the author and let him know that this is a misprint. He's selling a book for $1,000 with a misprint in it. And I reiterate, for the people of Indian and European parentage, generally, I use the term métis rather than quote-unquote mixed blood. And for the descendants of Scottish and Indian parents, all right, well, we see here clearly that this author has the knowledge that a European and a Scot is not the same thing. So much so that a European and an Indian mixed blood is something separate from a Scot and an Indian, where he refers to the Scottish and Indian parents, he uses the term Scots Indian rather than Galen, all right? And Galen is a Gaelic Indian, a Gael Indian, all right? For the descendants of Scottish and Indian parents, I use Scots Indian rather than Galen, which would refer exclusively, I said exclusively, to the children of Highlanders. In using Highland surnames, I have followed the form of McLean, 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 employed in the source rather than impose my own consistency. So what he's telling you here is, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, but the many different spellings of McLean. It's M-A-C-L-E-A-N, M-C-L-E-A-N, and M-A-C-L-E-A-N with no capital letters except the first letter. Now let me continue to read, because just these first few pages is going to help make sense of a lot of things for you folks. All right? Before we get into these 5 treacherous tribes. All right? Share the live stream. Wow, you're trying to piss off as many people. Share the live stream so that I can piss off as many people as possible. They were routinely described as wild, savage, barbarous, primitive, lawless, warlike, treacherous, vengeful, lazy, dirty, poor, superstitious, and always in need of instruction and improvement. Those sound like niggas to me, folks.
Ain't no issue. If it was an issue, you'll feel me. I just come to let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect.
If that's not how they describe niggas, boy, hey, man, say, man. They were routinely described as wild, savage, barbarous, primitive, lawless, warlike, treacherous, vengeful, lazy, dirty, poor, superstitious, and always in need of instruction and improvement. They were the tribal peoples who inhabited the northern frontiers of Great Britain and the western frontiers of North America. They had more in common than the derogatory terms applied to them. A collection of voyages and travels published in London in 1745, the year of the last Jacobite Rising, contained a frontispiece caption, description of the habits of most countries in the world. It depicted the dress of Chinese, Mongols, Persians, Turks, Tartars, Poles, Muscovites, Laplanders, Hungarians, Dutch, Spaniards, Hottentots, Negroes, Moors, and Mexicans. Scottish Highlanders, rather overdressed, shared the bottom of the page with Indians from Virginia and Florida. Some authors identify a mutual respect and deep affinity, I quote, between Highlanders and Indians based on parallel warrior traditions, a clan-based social structure, and above all, profound independence of spirit. Although this is overstated, there was something to it, according to an account from a quote-unquote gentleman lately arrived from New York, published in the Scots magazine and repeated elsewhere. When the Black Watch Regiment arrived in America at the start of the 7 Years' Wars, Indians reputedly, quote-unquote, flocked from all quarters to see them, and from a surprising resemblance in the manners of their dress and the great similitude of their language, the Indians concluded, they were anciently one and the same people. American Indians and Highland Scots recorded their histories. American Indians and Highland Scots. Let me turn this volume down because it looks like it's clipping. American Indians and Highland Scots recorded their histories in song and story and shared their worlds with spirits. Tales told around winter fires explained why things were the way they were, provided moral lessons, and warned of the perils of violating long-established taboos and rituals. Witches could transform themselves into animal shapes. Animals could communicate with humans, and certain animals must not be harmed. Birds were messengers of things to come. Omens were to be heeded. Nature's powers could be harnessed and propitiated by rituals. Place names were called mythic encounters with supernatural beings, although civilized folk purported not to believe in such quote-unquote primitive superstitions. Land-holding practices, folks, and this is what we're reading this for, were not identical, of course, before the system disintegrated in the 18th century, folks. Highland clan chiefs mortgaged or leased their land. Mortgaged lands were known as watsits, and leased lands were called taks. Wadsetters and taxmen in turn rented the land they mortgaged or leased to subtenants. The importance of the link between tenant and land in the Highlands was reflected in the Gaelic concept duchess, which expressed the belief that clans people had a permanent stake in the clan's homeland. Kinship and clan obligation ensured shared access to cultures. Highland and Indian societies revolved around clan and kinship. Although the terms had some different meaning and things worked in dissimilar ways, the Gaelic term clan meant children or family and implied a kinship group that claimed descent from a common ancestor. Blood ties between a clan chief and his people might be mythical rather than actual, but the assumption of kinship represented an emotional bond. Kinship bound people together in Native American societies, but there too it often had more to do with social relations than with biological connections, governing conduct between individuals and distribution of resources. Some Native societies like the Plains Ojibwas, whom Highland settlers met at Red River in Manitoba, were patrilineal like the Highlanders themselves. However, many of the Indian nations with whom Highlanders interacted traced kinship through women. The clan was the basic unit of Cherokee society. All Cherokees belonged to one of 7 matrilineal clans, and all clan members supposedly descended from a common ancestor. Now, I find that very interesting, folks, as a descendant of the Soil Alpin, 7 Scottish families. Clan membership gave an individual a place in society, and clan ties bound autonomous Cherokee towns together. I said it bound Cherokee towns together as one nation and one people. Kinship relationships determined both personal and social relationships, and clan members were obligated to care for, protect, and if necessary, avenge the deaths of a clan's relative.
Dom the Monko. Dom the Monko.
Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hawk
TV.
School for the
Clans have a
gifted and
deep
the elect.
history in the Highlands, but the clans most prominent in Scottish history, the Campbells, MacDonalds, Frasers, Camerons, and others emerged from the Middle Ages. Put a 1 in the chat if you know a quote-unquote Negro or African American with the name Campbell, MacDonald, Fraser, or Cameron. And others emerged from the Middle Ages when Norman lords moved north and established feudal patterns of landholding that fused with Gaelic tribal traditions to produce a feudal tribalism. Originally based on kinship, clans came to revolve around land distribution and defense. A Highland clan was a group of extended patrilineal families held together by their paternalism and patronage of the fine, the elite, the clan chief, and gentry. Let's start there.
Dom the Monko. Dom the Monko.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hawk in the building. What's up, man?
Stop the music, stop the music. Damn, man, stop the music. This is a map of the plan of the Knights of the Golden Circle. All right, the Ku Klux Klan. All right, these Freemasons, these Knights. This is their planned takeover. All right, they wanted to seize all of these lands. Let's get those Klan boys up there, all right? Because we thought they were all white. Wait, Black Knights? Wait, what? Jesse James was one of his names by Del Schrader. All right, we read that before. We want to give them something new, all right? Let's give them something new. Even more strangely, the Klan tried to organize an order of black Protestants, a Klan quote-unquote colored division in Indiana and other states, despite promises that the new order would have quote-unquote all the rights of membership of the white Klan. Much preparation went into ensuring that the values of white supremacy, I said the values of white supremacy, would be preserved. As the Klan expanded its racial base, these groups was to wear red robes, white capes, and blue masks, and was prohibited from being seen in public with the white Klansmen or handling any membership funds.
It really could go there. Just me though. On God, nigga. On my mama, nigga. On a stack of Bible, bitch.
Just cover up. The Aboriginal member of our people here in the West.
Ain't no issue. If it was an issue, you'll feel me. I just come to let y'all know, stop, put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. All right? Because we have to get back to these Slavic lodges. All right? And something you'll notice here, all right? We had to have a little background before we got into these Slavic lodges and these nobles of the mystic shrine. All right, and its origin. All right, we've already went over some of this. If you're not privy, all right. let's get back to these Slavic brotherhoods. All right. Now that we know that there's already established Scot, quote unquote, Indian relationship. All right. Before we get these Scottish people mixed up with some Vikings. Now we can continue where we left off. As the population, and that is if you're not up to speed, all right, you might have just popped in. Well, these are the Slavic Lodges, the 1897, all right, the disbanded Zapadini Sesko Bratraska Jedona or Western Bohemian Fraternal Association Lodge, all right, 1897. Now, it says as the population moved west, individuals established organizations that they had joined in their former places of residence, all right? We spoke on that, but I'm going to refresh you and for those who just tuned in. Following removal from the southeastern part of the United States to Indian Territory, members of the 5 tribes formed Masonic lodges, all right? Because these people are building a world on top of us, folks, all right? Right on top of our heads. And they're continuing to live in this world right on top of our heads, in our face. And we continue to dwell beneath their feet unknowingly. Well, not me, of course, respectfully.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
this
Indian
is Hope
TV.
School for the Gifted and the Elect.
As the population moved west, all right, these individuals, all right, among these, following, let me start from the top, all right. Because it's very disturbing, folks. All right, it's disturbing to see my people under the spell of these people. All right, and they're nothing but grifters and snitches and narcissists and promoters. They're everything but noble. As the population moved west, individuals established organizations that they had joined in their former places of residence. Following removal from the southeastern part of the United States to Indian Territory, members of the 5 tribes formed Masonic lodges. Many prominent American Indian leaders in Indian Territory were Masons. Among them were Peter Pitchland, John Jumper, John and William P. Ross, and Opethelo Yaholo. Before the Civil War, 5 lodges existed in Indian Territory. All right, so now that we know that the Scots and the Indians have an extensive relationship, folks, well, we know that that relationship was prior to 1848, all right, prior to these Scottish Rite lodges popping up from England, all right. On November 7th, 1848, the Grand Lodge of Arkansas granted a charter to the Cherokee Lodge number 21. Now, isn't that interesting, folks? The first lodge in Indian Territory at Tahlequah, the Cherokee Nation capital. All right? So they took over the capital, folks. Between 1850 and 1855, units formed at Fort Gibson, Dokesville, Flint, present Stillwell, and at the Creek Agency, northwest of Muskogee. During the Civil War, these disbanded and the charters were revoked. Thus, Freemasonry ceased to exist in Indian Territory until 1868. All right? In 1868, Reverend Joseph S. Murrow, known as one of the fathers of Freemasonry in Oklahoma, was instrumental in organizing Oklahoma Lodge number 1 at Boggy Depot, Choctaw Nation. Choctaw Governor Allen Wright suggested the lodge name. Other lodges were chartered at Dokesville, Caddo, Flint, Fort Gibson, and the Creek Agency. In October 1874, the Grand Lodge of Indian Territory was established, and the Indian Territory lodges no longer fell under the jurisdiction of Arkansas. Granville McPherson was elected first Grand Master. Women had an auxiliary known as the Order of the Eastern Star, which was organized in the United States in 1876. On February 25th, 1879, Murrow formed the Oho-Yo-Ho-Ma chapter, the first Eastern Star chapter at Atoka, Indian Territory. All right. He helped set up 8 others and the Grand Chapter of the Order of the Eastern Star of the Indian Territory in 1889, folks.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible.
After the land run of 1889, Masonic lodges formed in the Oklahoma Territory in Oklahoma City, Edmond, Guthrie, Kingfisher, Norman, and Purcell. The Anadarko Masonic Lodge, established in 1884 prior to any land openings, folks. Wait, what? I said after the land run of 1889, Masonic lodges formed in the Oklahoma Territory in Oklahoma City, Edmond, Guthrie, Kingfisher, Norman, and Purcell. The Anadarko Masonic Lodge, established in 1884 prior to any land openings. What do you mean by land openings? All right. Maybe they're not up to speed. But let's go to the records. All right. And this is the Homestead Act of 1862. All right. And if you're not up to speed, all right, because many people were homesteaders. The Homestead Act of 1862 made 160 acres available to any, I said any, head of household who filed a claim, lived 5 years on the land, and paid a fee. Homesteaders included citizens, immigrants seeking naturalization, women, men, African Americans, and whites. American Indians, who were not recognized as U.S. citizens, were excluded. After the land run of 1889, Masonic lodges formed in the Oklahoma Territory and Oklahoma City, Edmond, Guthrie, Kingfisher, Norman, and Purcell. The Anadarko Masonic Lodge, established in 1884, prior to any land openings, is possibly the oldest in the western half of Oklahoma. The Grand Lodge of Oklahoma Territory formed in November 1892. In 1909, in 1909, 2 years after statehood, the separate Grand Lodges of the two territories joined as the Grand Lodge of the state of Oklahoma. Scottish Rite consistories are located in McAllister, Tulsa, and Guthrie, with Guthrie serving as home to the Grand Lodge. The Scottish Rite Temple in Guthrie and the McAllister Scottish Rite Temple are listed in the National Register of Historic Places, folks.
You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
this is Hope School for the gifted and the elect.
And what you'll find even more interesting, let me just continue to read. The first Masonic Children's Home was established on December 31st, 1907 in Atoka. From 1908 to 1910, the facility housed 85 children and 10 adults. In 1910, the Grand Lodge bought the American Indian School at Darlington near El Reno and moved residents here from Atoka. However, the place was too isolated for children. Consequently, in September 1922, the residents moved from El Reno to Guthrie to the State House until the new Masonic home was completed in October 1923. 4 years later, after a separate home for elderly was built, it continued to operate into the 1990s, folks. The Masonic Children's Home was closed in 1977. Oklahoma has the distinction of establishing a girls' auxiliary, folks. called the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls, founded by Reverend William Mark Sexson on April 6, 1922 in McAllister. Sexson believed that there should be an organization for girls because the Order of Demolay for boys had been founded in 1919.
I wonder what is the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
Now, there's a lot of American Indians, a lot of Aboriginals, all right? A lot of these Pan-Africans are all these brotherhood guys, all right? You can tell by their lingo, all right? You can tell by their lingo. Says the first order of independent order of Oddfellows, all right? Lodges in present Oklahoma were instituted on May 1875 at Caddo, Choctaw Nation, Indian Territory, and on October 23rd, 1875 at Tishomingo, Chickasaw Nation, all right, Indian Territory, Caddo Lodge number 1. Now you may be saying, well, why does it say Indian Territory? Well, there aren't any states. It's not the United States, all right? It's Indian Territory because these are all separate countries. Caddo Lodge number 1 with 6 charter members was organized by Ben F. Christian of Sherman, Texas on August 3rd, 1893 in Lehigh, Indian Territory. 17 lodges formed the Grand Lodge of Indian Territory, folks. All right? And John Renee of Lehigh was installed as Grand Master. So if you can't claim to be an Indian to get this land, then why are these guys telling us their people had land and they're Indians? Well, you couldn't get the land being an Indian, sir, unless you were on the reservation.
Dom the Monko. Dom the Monko.
John Rennie of Lehigh was installed as Grand Master. 1898, there were 58 Oddfellow lodges. All right, because these guys would get on here and tell Oddfellows and all. Nigga, you're one of them. You're literally one of them. These lodges controlled Indian Territory. And this is why I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Tulsa was an inside job, folks. Talking about some Scots as Vikings. That's how I know you ain't no Scot. All right? You niggas ain't related to nobody. You niggas de facto. Straight up. De facto. You try to come with that old brotherhood bullshit. That's why you practicing Slavic culture. Talking about some motherfucking root work and all this shit. I'm sorry, Charlie. Motherfucking some crypto Jews. Daughters of Rebecca. Speaking of crypto Jews. The whatever Order of Odd Fellows, all right, Women's Auxiliary, was founded in South Bend, Indiana, 1851. The first Rebecca Assembly in present Oklahoma was organized at McAllister, Indian Territory in 1886 with more than 15,000 members, folks. 15,000 members in Oklahoma and Indian Territories. The Rebecca Assemblies also consolidated in 1911 to form the Grand Lodge of Oklahoma, Daughters of Rebecca. Let's fast forward. See if we can't surf through some of the mayonnaise, all right? Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. I see Tazco in here, Tribe. Red Cheddar is in the building, Tribe. Chickasaw Morningstar, Certified Sachi, Dre Cobb Music, Christina, Redskin, Tribe, Cash House Greatest. Who else in here? Cherokee in here, Reginald Jones in here, Chief the She-Hawk, Eastside 1415, Redskin, We Fly High, No Lie, You Know This, Tribe. Since the founding of the Fraternal Order of Knights of Pythias by Justice H. Rathbone and government clerks in 1864, in Washington, D.C., membership and goals have expanded with the primary objective of promoting friendship and benevolence. Pythians had 3 lodges and 78 members in 1864. By 1889, there were 2,724 lodges and 263,847 members. The Knights of Pythias were organized by John Dial in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma Territory on November 18, 1889, with 33 charter members. Soon other lodges were initiated in recently established towns in Pythians also organized in Indian Territory, and 5 lodges formed a Grand Lodge in 1889 with statehood eminent. The Grand Lodges of the Territories joined in the creation of the Oklahoma Grand Lodge at a meeting held in Shawnee in May 1907. In 1910, the state had 153 lodges compared to 7,895 nationally. Prominent Oklahomans who have been Pythians included Wesley E. Disney, Thomas P. Gore, and Ernest W. McFarland. The women's auxiliary, known as the Pythian Sisters, first organized in 1888. In Warsaw, Indiana, although Oklahoma chapters of Pythian Sisters existed by 1907, no date is known for the establishment of the first chapter. At the turn of the 21st century, membership in fraternal orders had declined due to other attractions, allegedly. Since the heyday of civic clubs and fraternal organizations, various forms of entertainment, sports, and other types of clubs have occupied American leisure hours. Membership in Oklahoma Masonic Lodges peaked in 1958 with 86,000 members.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This is Hawk School for the gifted and the elect.
Who named you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This is Hawk School for the gifted and the elect.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
I thought you were a black guy. Hey, you're Indian? Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, you gotta be kidding me.
Indian are you?
Like
You are cut down to the ground. You who weaken the nation.
Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. Why is it every time I go live, people go live? And one thing I notice is that these Brotherhood members all just talk about each other just constantly, bro. Constantly. All right? I went to one guy's channel, and I don't know if he's an Indian or African. Because there's nothing but African mumbo jumbo, all right? On his whole video feed, all right? Everything is the enemy, respectfully. This video here, all right? Let's play this audio. Let's get into some audio. Let's get into some very, very interesting audio. And if you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hulk, and this is Hulk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis.
Dom the Mongo. Dom the Mongo.
Now, I know they had to run a pass interference, all right? He said, Hulk's going in on the Freemasons and the 5 civilized tribes. Nobody's safe. And, you know, it took me a while to be able to connect all these guys together, all these Turks, all right? It took me a while. Cancel. It took me a while, all right? But I see that they're connected through the churches, all right? If they're not what's this word? A savage Indian. All right, then they'll probably be into the church and the Holy Ghost, these black knights. All right. If they're not into the church, then they'll be at the powwow. Like I'm still a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. All right. Here we see an excerpt from J.A. Rogers, the Ku Klux Spirit, all right? Says, and I quote, "A fact not generally known is that there were thousands of Negro Klansmen. These were used as spies on other Negroes and on Northern whites."
I wonder what the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
To cover up the Aboriginal member
Stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. We gotta read that again, folks. I said, J.A. Rogers, the Ku Klux Spirit, a fact not generally known is that there were thousands. I said thousands. Of Negro Klansmen. These were used as spies on other Negroes and on Northern whites.
All right, one at a time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man?
Oh, shit.
All right,
Yes,
one at a
ma'am.
time, y'all. We got the Incredible Hulk in the building. What's up, man?
Oh, shit.
Okay. All right.
You've been hitting
anything?
my hard tonight.
I'm not through with you.
Oh, my.
I'm not through. So let's go back to the 5 tribes.
Okay.
And I'll label Seminole, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee. These names are very important because the European made them nations, which means that there were thousands, hundreds of thousands of Moors under each one of these titles, but they fixed it so that only those that were desirable to the European became the civilized. So they had to create a new name for all the civilized ones and then put them into this 5 civilized tribes. Does that make sense? I mean, do you understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Now listen carefully. Islam law and world politics is specific. No half-stepping. You must stand on your square. I teach this all the time. Here are 5 Crimean, Moorish titles of nobility that ties so-called Indian, Hindu, Indios, Indus, and blacks. All of this is tied into the 5 civilized tribes. Now, to the sovereign American gate of America, Mexium, Morocco, and the North Gate. Here we go with Black America. El, Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. Those are titles of nobility. These 5 titles belong to the 5 tribes, civilized tribes. Civilized. So they had to create a new name.
Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
Put them into this 5 civilized tribes. Does that make sense? I mean, do you understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Now listen carefully. Islam law and world politics is specific. No half. You must stand on your square. I teach this all the time. Here are 5 Crimean, Moorish titles of nobility that ties so-called Indian, Hindu, Indios, Indus, and blacks. All of this is tied into the 5 civilized tribes. Now, to the sovereign American gate of America, Mexium, Morocco, and the North Gate. Here we go with Black America. El, Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. Those are titles of nobility. These 5 titles belong to the 5 tribes, civilized tribes. They are, El means Cherokee, Bey means Choctaw, Day, D-E-Y, means Seminole, Al means Crete, Ali means Chickasaw. The title El means God of power. Bey means ruler or landlord. Day means knowledgeable. Al means the same as El, but El is masculine and Al is goddess. All means exalted, or most high. You get it?
Right.
Now I know you've heard of Els and Beys and Days. All of that comes from the Moorish nation. All of that. And the Europeans tied all of that into their so-called 5 civilizations to keep us more confused. But they had to get away from the titles of nobility because the Constitution says they can never have titles of nobility in United States. This is why all lawyers, judges, prosecutors are traitors, treasonous traitors to the United States. Why? Because they all have a title of nobility called Esquire. You've seen that EQS behind those people's names. That means that they're Esquire. They were knighted by the Queen or the King of England to pay homage to them not to us. This is how they maintain control. England maintains control of America through the law system. That's why it's all corrupt. No lawyer's a good lawyer. No judge is a good judge. Black, white, mama, daddy, cousin, husband, wife, all of them are crooks. Every one of them. Take another step. Allah. A, arm, L, leg, A, second arm, H, head. A-L-L-A-H, which is Allah. Got it? Thus, man being manifested in the form of Allah. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. My head is crowned with love. I have right arm. I have peace in my left arm. My right foot, which is my leg, is unbound, giving me freedom. And my left foot, my leg, moves forward in justice, which creates Islam. I, self, L, law, A, am, M, master / mother. I, self, Lord, am master. Islam is truly about peace, love, and honoring thy mother, because we are from the matriarch culture. They are from the patriarch culture. Islam is not terror and war you see on television. It is all peace and love. But they have manipulated it into and all of this fighting. So we get scared and afraid. We don't want to embrace Islam. We don't want to embrace Allah. And I'm not asking you to. I'm bringing you just facts. You can do what you want. I don't care. The tribes were uprooted from their homes east of the Mississippi River in a series of Indian removals authorized by the federal legislation over several decades and moved to what was referred to as Indian Territory and is now the eastern portion of the state of Oklahoma. All of this has roots as to who we really are. And they have us confused, number one, that we come over on a slave ship. You got to get rid of that. Number two, those that they couldn't fool with coming over, they created what they call an Indian and say all things that happened in history came from the Indian. There's no such thing as an Indian. And if you ever meet one and say he's an Indian, just ask him why is he on a reservation. If he was an Indian, he sold us out. That's why he got on the reservation, because he told the European, I'll help you kill them, because they're not Christians and they don't love you.
It's like someone in the chat room is saying Alabama is from Ali Baba and Illinois is from Illinois.
Okay. I don't have all the answers. I have a knack of making the story believe from my perspective. I'll agree with them, but I'd like for them to do more research in that. I love it. That sounds good to me.
Now, before you get all wrapped up in everything you just heard,
Somebody.
we're going to make it make sense in just a minute, all right? Share the live stream. If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically, what the hell? Run it from the top. If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect, and we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis. Share the live stream, and we're going to get to the top of this.
Dom the Mongo. Dom the Mongo.
It's called the Confederate Cherokee John Drew's Regiment of Mounted Rifles. That's number one. Number two, I'm going into the Title 25, Indians chapter, look like a 5. Might be a 3, but I think it's 5. It's called Protection of Indians.
Stop the
It's
music.
section 19.
Wait, folks. This guy just said that we weren't Indians. I really need these guys to make their minds up. What's it gonna be? Are we Indians or are we not Indians? All right? These Ku Klux guys. All right, let's just do a quick Google search here. Quick Google search. Let's see what we find. And we're going to get to the bottom of what all that L-Bay stuff is. All right? New Laws of the Indies, 1542, and this is courtesy of the California State University, Sacramento. The laws and ordinance newly made by His Majesty for the government of the Indies and good treatment. I said, and good treatment and preservation of the Indians created a set of pro-Indian laws. And so pro-Indian that some had to be revoked in Mexico and Peru due to settler opposition. All right? The conflict was between feudalists who favored the encomienda system because it maintained a society as in the old world, and the more centralized regionalists who wanted to preserve royal power in Spain's new empire. Eventually, the encomienda was allowed to continue. Charles, by the divine clemency, Emperor ever August, King of Germany, to the most illustrious Prince Don Philip, our very dear and very beloved grandson and son, to the infants, our grandsons and sons, and to the president and those of our council of the Indies, and to our viceroys, presidents, and auditors of our audiences and royal chanceries of our said Indies, islands, and continent of the ocean sea, to our governors, alcaldes, folks. And we already know as soon as we look up alcaldes, who are they? They're us, folks. All right? He's literally writing to the alcalde, a magistrate or mayor in Spanish, Portuguese, or Latin American town. All right? Just a quick little breeze through. We talk about this all the time, and here it pops up again. Alcalde, traditional Spanish municipal magistrate who had both judicial and administrative functions. An alcalde was, in the absence of a corregidor, the presiding officer of the Castilian cabildo. All right? So these guys are in charge. Alcalde was also a title given to indigenous Native American leaders inside the Spanish missions who performed a largely variety of duties for the Franciscan missionaries. All right, and this is according to Social Control, Political Accommodation, and Indian Rebellion, Children of Coyote, Missionaries of St. Francis, Indian-Spanish Relations in Colonial California, 1769 to 1850. And there you see a picture of Mayan alcaldes from Guatemala being portrayed on your screen. Stop the music. Let's read. All right, let's read a little from here. All right. What does it say? Item: we ordain and command that from henceforward, for no cause of war nor any other whatsoever, though it be under title of rebellion, nor by ransom, nor in any other manner, can an Indian be made a slave? And we will that they be treated as our vassals of the crown of Castile, since such they are.
And when Father's Day comes around this year, you should make sure you send me a Father's Day card, because you are my son.
Who named you coming in? By who power? Is what?
Stop the music. Stop the music, all right? Because we don't pick cherries here, folks. No person, I said no person, can make use of the Indians by way of Naboria or Tapia or in any other manner against their will, folks. As we ordered provision to be made that from henceforward the Indians in no way be made slaves. All right, and again, this is 1542, folks. All right, including those who until now have been enslaved against all reason and right, and contrary to the provision and instructions thereupon, we ordain and command that the audiences, having first summoned the parties to their presence without any further judicial form, but in a summary way, so that the truth may be ascertained speedily. I said speedily set Indians at liberty, unless the persons who hold them for slaves show title why they should hold and possess them legitimately, and in order that in default of persons to solicit the aforesaid, the Indians may not remain in slavery unjustly, we command that the audiences appoint persons who may pursue the cause of the Indians and be paid out of the exchequer fines, provided they be men of trust and diligence.
Unconquered Tribes, you are now live with the incredible host for the gifted and the elect.
Yo, cover up! The Aboriginal member of our people here in the West.
9. Access to records of five civilized tribes. Now, we need to know how this damn 5 so-called civilized tribes, what made the tribes civilized? What made the European who eats raw meat, climb trees, and howl to the moon at night, who told that punk that he knew what civilization was? And when you look at these cowboy movies, I was looking at one the other morning, Broken Arrow, and this European said, well, the Indians should respect us because we brought them civilization. And all the Europeans did during the movie was kill Indians. What kind of civilization could that be? But they will tell you real quick, they're taught to say, we gave them civilization, as if we wanted that trash. Who wants to live like a peck of wood? I don't know nobody that do. Better yet, I think I do. But you got them niggas that go out there tomorrow and live with them white folk and just brag they're the only ones out here. Yep. So let them go. But civilization. So now in 1934, they set up a Indian Affairs, well, I just read you, Department of Indian Affairs. It comes under Title 25, Indian Chapter 5. It's called Protection of Indians. Section 199, access to records of 5 civilized tribes. Now, what qualifies you to be civilized? Number 1, you had to be a Christian. Number 2, you had to live among them in any capacity and had a character that they could deal with. That's where smiling, dancing, skinning and grinning, whatever they wanted you to do to make them feel comfortable. They taught that in school. So most of your, let's call them Indian schools or public schools, were near white settlements so that they could train you to be a good nigga when you went around them peckerwoods. Now, how did they choose these 5 tribes?
Sell my soul.
They
Sell my
used
soul.
the noble positions of the Moorish nation, which is El, Bey, Day, Al, Ali. 5. Then there were 2 more known as Muhammad bin Ishmael. That was a tribe. Now, how did they choose these 5 tribes? Well, they used the noble positions of the Moorish nation, which is El, Bey, Day, Al, Ali. 5. And then there were 2 more known as Muhammad bin Ishmael. That was a tribe.
Now that we know that it's a requirement to be a Christian, well, we know that Muhammad has nothing to do with that. Peace and blessings of God be upon him. And you know, as I was doing some research into this, I actually stumbled across some very interesting records here at the National Archive, records of Bureau of Indian Affairs. And this is from record group 75, 1793 through 1989. And I found some very, very interesting information here. As you see, there is a slew of records, folks. All right. But I found this very interesting, the records of Indian trade. Stop the music. All right, stop the music. Stop. What the fuck? Stop the music. Let's just read a brief history on these records, why don't we? Government-operated posts for trade with Indians, known as factories, began operation in 1795, folks. $1795. Did anybody tell you about the Indian factories? From 1795, all of these highly connected Vikings. Do they know anything about the factories, the Indian factories? Do these Moors, with their master teachers and their secret teachings of Kabbalah, have they told you about the Indian factories that began operation in 1795? I don't think they have, folks. Why haven't they? Government-operated posts for trade with Indians, known as factories, began operation in 1795, and this is directly from archive.gov, folks. Under the immediate supervision of the Secretary of War, Office of Indian Trade established in the War Department by an act of April 21st, 1806, to administer the factories. Office of Indian Trade abolished and closing of factories authorized by an act. May 6, 1822. Last supervisor of Indian Trade became the first head of the Office of Indian Affairs, March 11th, 1824. stop the music. All right? Stop the music. Let's give them a screenshot, why don't we, folks? Let's give them a screenshot of primary sources proving the government-operated post for trade with the Indians known as factories, which began operation in 1795. We go take a look at the textual records, letters sent from 1807 and received, invoice and letter books, day books, journals, ledgers, indent books, invoices, inward, invoices outward, miscellaneous records. 1796 to 1895, folks, ledgers of Edgar Patterson, a stationer in Georgetown, D.C., letters sent and received, day books, journals, ledgers, miscellaneous accounts, and records from the Arkansas factory, 1805 to 1810, Bellefontaine factory, 1805 to 1809, the Cherokee factory in Tellico and Hiawassee, 1796 to 1810, Chicago factory, 1805 to 1822, Chickasaw Bluffs factory, 1806 to 1818, Choctaw factory, 1803 to 1825, Creek factory, 1795 to 1821, Detroit factory, 1802 to 1804, Fort Edwards factory, 1818 to 1823, Fort Madison factory, 1808 to 1815, Fort Wayne factory, 1803 to 1812, Green Bay factory, 1850 to 1815 to 1823, the Mackinac, Michilimackinac factory, 1808 to 1812, the Natchitoches Sulphur Fork factory, 1806 to 1823, the Osage factory, 1808 to 1823, the Prairie de Cheyenne factory, 1815 to 1822, the Sandusky factory, 1806 to 1812, and Spargray Bluffs, Illinois Bayou factory, 1818 to 1824.
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Shabazz El Napier are the Nubians. Those were definitely black, quote unquote, Indians. But the Els took in the Cherokee. And the Cherokee came under the...
Wait a minute, stop.
I can't pronounce all these.
Stop this. Stop the music. All right, stop the music and stop the Moorish mumbo jumbo. I just wanted you to hear it from their OG, so you knew it was real. Talking all this old bullshit, all right? Trying to make y'all a part of these fake-ass nations, all right? Let's go here. Oh, we got all the records, Tribe. All right? We got all the records. And we're going to do a whole build, all right, if one of these Freemason guys don't steal our content and try to write a book about it. Straight up.
I wonder what the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
Who name you coming in? By who power? Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know.
Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. All right. These guys talking about all this L and Bay and have they not read the Mecca Temple? All right. I'm sure they haven't. I'm sure they haven't. All right. Well, they want to connect us to these guys, these Bekteshi orders. All right. And you know we got their book. All right. The Parent Temple. But these guys don't look like American Indians to me, sir. They don't look like Indians to me, sir. And you got to be careful, all right? You got to be careful with these Slavs and these swarthy terms, all right? Because these people are swarthy, all right? But they're not Negroes.
I wonder what the emergency. I hear shots! Okay, ma'am, calm down. What kind of shots?
You coming in? By who power? Is what?
Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talk.
Stop the music. All right. Let's see if we can get some of these guys up here. Let's get a load of these L's. All right, that this guy's talking about. Do we have any videos of the L's and the Bays and I think we might have something. See if we can't get these guys up here. All right, let's get these 5 civilized tribes. All right.
Who named you coming in? By who power?
There's a little something about you that's disturbing.
Is what? It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know.
Subscribe to the Uncommon Tribe. You are now live with the incredible
Wow.
The 20th century brought statehood to Oklahoma, and also an end to the institutions and formal organization of the 5 tribes. They had fought it bitterly, reminding Washington that treaties had been signed as far back as 1830, specifically stating that the Indian lands would never become a state, nor any part thereof. Some measure of autonomy, the right of self-rule, had been theirs for more than 100 years, but never sovereignty. Never had theirs been the final word. Statehood meant they now had neither. Yet even today, within the tribes, there still exists some organizational rule. It is called the Intertribal Council, run by 5 members of each tribe, and is intended to advance those special concerns of Indians. Its highest officers are the 5 leaders or principal chiefs of each tribe. Harry J.W. Belvin of Durant, Choctaw. Overton James of Oklahoma City, Chickasaw. W.W. Keeler of Bartlesville, Cherokee. John Brown of Sasakwa, Seminole. And W.E. McIntosh of Tulsa, Creek. Their leaders are either elected by the tribes themselves or appointed by the Secretary of the Interior. It is his department, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, that supervises the federal services to all United States Indians. The Intertribal Council, in turn, is assisted by the Muskogee Area Office of Indian Affairs, which is the liaison between the Interior Department and the 5 civilized tribes. Specifically, the council oversees the federal relationship of more than 40,000 Indians of tribal blood and seeks to secure their rights under existing treaties, adjust their common cause, preserve their culture, and promote their general welfare. These objectives oil, gas, or uranium. The rest have had to acquire their income from the traditional source, the land, their principal, and oftentimes only possession. The Bureau's effort in this regard, as well as in other areas, has made it broadly respected throughout the 5 tribes. An indication of how much comes from Overton James of the Chickasaws and McIntosh of the Creeks.
There was a time when the Bureau sat in the office, in the area offices, and they expected the Indians who had any problems to come and bring their problems to the Bureau officials. But this has changed now, and especially during the reign of Mr. Virgil Harrington of the Muskogee Area Office, because he and his staff are always helpful and eager and cooperate with all the tribes and come right down to the grassroots level and find out what's going on.
We are gratified with the progress that's being made today in comparison to the non-progress being made to the...
Wait a minute, guys. This is W.E. McIntosh, the principal chief of the Creek Nation? Wait, what? It's these niggas' ancestors? This who you related to, YG? This your ancestor?
That's being made today in comparison to the non-progress being made some 10, 15, 20 years ago. The progress today is...
Stop the white Indians. Stop the white Indians. All right? Me and Mama Chief, Powhatan 1424, were triggered. Straight up.
Dom the Mongo. Dom the Mongo.
So, I'm so sorry, all right? Shout out to Mama Chief Powhatan 1424 in the chat, tribe. I was so triggered myself I was so triggered, I forgot to unmute the mic. I was so triggered myself, all right? What is all this Moorish mumbo jumbo, all right? What are you talking about? We're not Indians. But then you want to go to the paperwork that talks about Indians. You want to ask people if they're Indians. You got all these agents, these communist groups, all right, destroying us from the inside out, all right? These guys are claiming to be descendants of these guys. This is where all this Moorish nonsense is coming from with these guys, all right? And they're trying to make you think all these people are Negroes, all right? This is from 1894, all right? So if this whole Moorish paradigm is something, we gave it to them. What year? Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, its origin and history, all right? And here we see the Order of the Noble of Mystic Shrines was instituted by the Muhammadan Caliph Ali, whose name be praised, all right? But what we do find about these nobles as we get into the book further, and I found something very, very interesting in here, all right? What we do find is that this order, all right, was infiltrated, all right? Its membership in all countries included Christians, Israelites, Muslims with an O, and men in high positions of learning and of power. One of the most noted patrons of the order was the late Khedive of Egypt, whose name be revered, whose inclination towards Christians is well known. Let's see if we can't enlarge this a little bit, all right? We want you to be able to see it clearly. That this brotherhood, all right, these Moors, if you will, for lack of better terms, they're not Moors, they're not Scots, all right? Maybe they're Vikings, folks. Maybe they're Vikings. The nobles of the Mystic Shrine are sometimes mistaken for certain orders of dervishes, such as those known as the Hanifa, Rufia, Sadariya, and others, either howling, all right, whirling, dancing, or barking. But this is an error. The only connection the order ever had with any sect of dervishes was with that called the Bektesh. This warlike sect undertook favor and protect the nobles in a time of great peril, and have ever since been counted among its most honored patrons. The famous Arab known as Bektesh, from a peculiar high white hat or cap, blah, 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 all right? Was an imam in the army of Sultan Amarith I, Muhammadan, who led an army into Europe, AD 1360, in the year of the Hijra, 761. This sultan was the founder of the military order of the Janissaries, so-called because they were freed captives who were adopted into the faith and the army. The Bektesh dervishes are numbered by many hundred thousands, and they have served several branches or offshoots which are named after the founder of each. Among the most noted are those which have their headquarters in Cairo, in Egypt, Damascus, in Jerusalem, Palestine, Smyrna, and Brosia, in Asia Minor, Constantinople, Adrianople, in Turkey, in Europe, Tehran, Shiraz, Persia, Benares, and many other cities in India, Tangier, Morocco, Iran, in Algeria, at Mecca, in Arabia, at which latter city all branches and sects of dervishes are presented at the annual meeting, which is held during the month of the pilgrimage. The Bekteshi's representatives at Mecca is a noble of the mystic shrine, is the chief officer of the Ali Temple of nobles, and in 1877 was the chief of the order in Arabia. The chief must reside either at Mecca or Medina, and in either case must be present in person or by deputy at Mecca during the month of pilgrimage. Do we have a video of these Bekteshis on hand? Do we have a video of these Bekteshis on hand? I know we do. All right, I don't want to have to go. I believe I uploaded one to my YouTube, but I just downloaded a very interesting new one. And it's actually a part of, we'll save that for the 5 treacherous tribes. All right, that's the deal. Put some gems if you can see the screen clearly. All right, I just want to make sure you can see this for yourself. All right. This is nasty work, folks. The chief must reside either in Mecca or Medina. In either case, must be present in person or by deputy. All right. At Mecca during the month of pilgrimage. The Egyptian order of nobles of Mystic Shrine has been independent of the Arabian, accepting the yearly presence of the deputy in Mecca since the expedition of Ibrahim Pasha, the son of Muhammad Ali, the great Pasha of Egypt in 1818, when the Wahhabis were conquered. All right? Those are the guys over there. They're over there now. All right? The nobles of the Mystic Shrine, we'll go down here. All right? Are eminent for their broad and Catholic toleration. All right? The nobles who hold a belief in the supreme or most high is never questioned as to the definition of that belief. The finite cannot define the infinite, although it may be conscious of its existence. The character of the order, as it appears to the uninitiated, is that of a politico-religious society. It is really more than such a society could be, and there are hidden meanings in its simplest symbols that take hold on the profoundest depths of the heart. We may illustrate by example. There are rays of light about the Sphinx and pyramid. Each ray is numbered, blah, blah, blah. All right, we don't want to get all into all your little Kabbalah party right now, folks, okay? Respect. Among the modern promoters, I said among the modern promoters, all right? Where is it? I lost it. These bastards, go back. Who are the modern promoters of this order, folks? We definitely want to know, all right? Among the modern promoters of the principles of the order in Europe, all right? Let's get this whole screen over here so you can see everything. Oh, yeah, I know they're mad. Let it go. All right. Among the modern promoters of the principle of the order in Arabia was the Imam, or Sheikh Abu il-Barakat Abdullah ibn Ahmed al-Nasafi, well known among scholars by his title Hafizuddin, who died AD 1330. Arabic writers say of him that he was the scientific and learned Imam, the lord of the ingenuous and the gifted prince, the support of the excellent, a rare example of manly virtue in the ages. Our eyes never beheld his equal, our Lord, the teacher and the guardian of our order. The poet Hafiz is honored in Persia as Byron is in England, and their works are similar in many respects, treating of wine and women with an unequaled richness of vocabulary and ideality. Strict Mohammedans, I said strict Mohammedans, reject the writings of Hafiz as too suggestive, but yet he is more widely read than any other writers in the East by members of the order, who alone can fully appreciate the many secret allusions in his verse. In the year AD 1804, during a warlike expedition, all right, hold on, I have some interference. Now, I didn't mute my mic, all right? But clearly it was muted. I don't know for how long, but as you can see, we will continue aggressively exposing the truth.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hope
TV.
School for the Gifted and the Elect.
Shout out Navi Poet. We do appreciate it. We do understand why we're having technical difficulties. Please bear with us. But as you see these guys here, all right? And what happens is once they start passing these Slavs off, then before you know it, every swarthy description becomes a Negro, all right? And these guys aren't Negroes. These are your swarthy replacements, all right? These are your Moors, all right? These people are from Europe, folks, all right? And you got guys telling you, oh, they're swarthy. They're black Europeans. Why would they do that, folks? All right? Why would they do that? Let's get into a little more reading. We got a little more we can cover here before we call it a night. Let's get rid of some of this, all right? Before we call it a night. I didn't want to do that. It's very, very, very intricately woven lie, all right? And I actually have it to download. I don't know why I even did that when I could just download it. That's cool. Oh, it still gave us. Now, all of these brotherhoods are under this order, all right? The Mecca Temple, the ancient order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. All right? And these are the people who took over the system. And once they conquered the system and conquered our family lines, all right, infiltrated our bloodlines, and now you see these guys are still flying their flag, all right? These guys aren't... didn't the guy tell us on the intro video, the trailer, all right? The Catholics were destroying everything. Well, the nobles of the mystic shrine are eminent for their broad and Catholic toleration. The noble who holds a belief in a supreme or most high is never questioned as to any definition of that belief. All right? But as we know from Albert Pike that Lucy Cypher is their God, all right? But let's get to it, all right? Because you'll see these Freemason guys, and they'll argue with the Moors. You had the Moorish guys argue with the Freemason guys, argue with the Native American guys, when all these guys belong to the same lodge. Is there no volume? Can you hear me? There's still no sound. Put some gems in the chat if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Put some gems in the chat if you could hear me, all right? Before we expose some more. It says the work was perfected in August 1870. Can you hear me, Redskin? Shout out Redskin in the chat. Shout out Navi Poet in the chat. Tribe. Put some gems in the chat if you can still hear me. Shout out Mama Chief. Put some gems in the chat if you can hear me. All right? We got 30 people in here. We don't have anybody talking, all right? The work was perfected on August 1870 under the supervision of Dr. Walter Fleming, 33rd degree, Sovereign Grand Inspector General, blah, blah, blah. All right, past eminent commander of Colombian Commandery, number 1, Knights Templar, New York, folks. All right? I could have swore these guys were talking about their granddads were official, like a referee whistle, all right, because they were affiliated with these guys. Trolls trolling trolls. Navi. Let's get back to these. All right. These Knights Templars, these mystic Shriners, all right. These Catholics, these Babylonians, all right. But I found something very interesting in here, but let's continue to read. For esoteric reasons, all right, they're speaking on the symbol, their symbol. All right, that's page 23. Speaking on this symbol, all right? And what does it say? The salutation of distinction among the faithful is Assalamu alaikum, all right? This is the jewel of the order, the head of a sphinx with the sword, all right? And that represents their goddess that they worship. All right? This has nothing to do with Islam, as I have reiterated. The constitutional authority for promulgating the principles and practice of the order was confided to all of the above gentlemen we saw in the picture. All right? Even one of them, Albert Rawson, was the Arabic translator. All prominent, ancient, accepted Scottish Rite Masons and Knights Templars of New York, who instituted the first temple of the order in that city under the title of Mecca Temple, Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. Now you understand why all these people hang out with each other, folks, and why they hate me. On June 6, 1876, the Imperial Council for North America was formed and the first officers were elected, as in Arabia, for the term of 3 years. Walter Fleming became Imperial Pontificate, blah, blah, blah. The prerequisite for membership in Europe, Asia, Africa, and America is the 32nd degree, all right? 18th degree in England, or a Knight Templar in good standing. The generous proposition to make the Order of Nobles an organization for the exercise of charity, the improvement of the mind, and an ally for Fraternity of the Freemasonry. And we know this is regular eunuch Kisler Aga business, folks, respectfully. It's just eunuch, as usual. But I want to get to their pilgrimage, all right? Because they actually had a pilgrimage, and it's very detailed expedition across the Americas, and it will tell us a lot, all right? And these people say, oh, wasn't all Islam here? And well, according to this, it says that when pilgrimages to Mecca were interrupted by the Crusades about AD 980, the Mohammedans west of the Nile journeyed to Fez in Morocco as to a holy city. Among the flourishing manufacturers of the city was a head covering called a tarbouche, now known as a fez, which was dyed scarlet for the students in a great school at that city. In that way, it became a mark of learning and gradually displaced other forms and colors of hats. It was carried in all directions by caravans and thus became the distinguished headdress of Muslims in every part of the empire. All right? 1883. Nobility of the Mystic Shrine, proclamation emanating from the Congress Imperial Council, Ancient Arabic Order. This is dated May 26, 1883. Noble of the Mystic Shrine, United States of America, to all illustrious Pontificates, rabbins, and noble sharifs throughout the jurisdiction of the Western Hemisphere. Affliction, distress, sorrow, illustrious noble El Haji Abd al-Qadir, Grand Sheikh of Ali Temple, Mecca, Arabia, under the domain of the Crescent is dead. This renowned Sharif of the Order Bekteshi of Temple Saladin, Damascus, is officially announced departed. To the unseen temple you are hereby commanded, imperial and subordinate, for the full term of the next 3 crescent moons after this mandate within the mystic sanctuaries of the shrine, in accordance with the ancient Oriental custom to drape your altars and tombs with the insignia of mourning, and let the symbolic funeral urn be placed upon the sacred black stone, there to exhale incense during all ceremonials, and inscribe upon your temple records notice of the same. Executive action will also be taken at the annual session of the Imperial Council at June 6, 1883 at Masonic Temple, City of New York, in obedience to supreme decree. Well, here's a list of the members, all right? This is New York, all right? This is dated 1894. All right? Sharif Sultani, Sharif Al-Amir, Sharif Al-Sahib, Sharif Al-Imam, Sharif Al-Ain, Sharif Al-Barak, Sharif Al-Khatib, Sharif Al-Wakil, Sharif Al-Chazin, Sharif Al-Mudir, Sharif Al-Amal, Sharif Al-Reis, Sharif Al-Hafiz, Sharif Al-Hafiz, Sharif Al-Kimia, Sharif Al-Kimia, of their alchemists, all right? Sharif Al-Nazir, Sharif Al-Wazir, Sharif Al-Mushir. This is a very, very telling book about the history of America, folks. As fully set forth in the preceding history, William Florence was initiated into the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine and imparted the knowledge of the ceremonies to Dr. Walter M. Fleming of New York, who was empowered to introduce and establish the order in America. It was determined to confer it only on free and accepted Masons of the higher degree, and on the 16th of June, 1871, a number of Knights Templars and 32nds and 33rds of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite were assembled at Masonic Hall number 114, East 13th Street, New York, when the proposition to engage in the establishment of the new order was enthusiastically accepted, and the following 11 brothers were duly received. Let's see if that address is still there, folks. Let's type this address in. Masonic Hall number 114. Let's see if it's still there. I bet it's still there. Well,
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hope
TV.
School for the Gifted and the Elect.
Masonic Hall, Manhattan. In New York is the headquarters of the Grand Lodge of the Free and Accepted Masons of the State of New York. It has been located at 23rd Street and 6th Avenue in Flatiron District since 1875. The current building, completed in 2 phases, dates from 1909 and 1913. The first Masonic Hall was a Gothic-style building located in Lower Manhattan, constructed in 1826, folks. So you got naked Indians running around literally naked in 1826. You had this in Manhattan. This is insane.
Hawks and vultures are often seen soaring majestically high in the sky.
Cover up!
finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talk.
Stop the music. Stop the music. It's still there, folks. It's still there. Now, I've read this book in its entirety. I didn't bookmark it in my download, unfortunately. All right. Let's see if I can fast forward a bit past some of these mystic Turks. All right. Let's read here. Noble Joseph B. Eakins was invited to attend Al-Quran Temple June 12th, where he was created a noble in full form, becoming a member of Mecca. Both the above were highly impressed with the excellent rendition of the ceremonies and immediately proposed that Mecca become fully equipped. The elegant rooms in Temple Hall, number 117, West 23rd Street, were secured for the opening session of January 1880. And several nobles proposed a large number of candidates to be introduced at that time, mainly through the influence of Noble Eakins. The necessary paraphernalia were procured. The officers were fully instructed in the ritual, and everything betokened a brilliant future. On December 26, 1879, the following officers were elected. On Friday, January 1880, Mecca was opened in a blaze of glory. 50 members being present and a large number of visitors from other temples. 50 sons of the desert passed the Muslim test. The ceremonies were conducted in full form with appropriate music for the first time by the temple quartet and organists who have continued to the present time. The paraphernalia and costumes were gorgeous. The sessions were, thereafter held nearly every month, folks. In February, the initiation fee was raised to $15 and a diploma from the imperial body furnished to all nobles. On June 12th, the imperial council was entertained by Mecca when over 200 nobles were present. 12 nobles were created, and a grand banquet was given at the annual session of the imperial body in February 1879 and 1880. Nobles Fowler, Eakins, and Torrey were elected active members. All right? Active members. Let's get to their little road trip, all right? It's very, very interesting, and it tells a very lot, all right? Quite a bit. Forgive my word usage there, all right? On January 31st, 1884, the session was held in the Grand Lodge Room. A delegation of 47 nobles of Lulu Temple of Philadelphia, all right? We got to get caught up, folks, all right? We found the Manhattan Hall. Let's see how many of these buildings, because apparently they didn't tear these down, folks. Here's another one. Let's see what we got here. The Daytonian in Manhattan. The lost 1875 Masonic Temple, 23rd Street at 6th Avenue. The Masonic Fraternal Order had been a major force in New York since before the revolution. Let's zoom in on this here. See what they got. 4 years. Oh, come on with that bullshit. John Hancock, Benjamin Franklin were just a few of the early country powerful leaders. 1842 Masonic Hall and Asylum Fund was established with two purposes: to construct a hall in the city of New York for the Grand Lodge and other Masonic bodies, and to create an asylum for worthy decayed Masons, their widows and orphans. But a decade of infighting among political factions within the lodge delayed progress. It would not be before 1864, in the midst of civil war, that the trustees of the Hall and Asylum Fund would be incorporated. The trustees were authorized to purchase the land and construct a hall. The profits from this project were intended to build, establish, or maintain an asylum or asylum school or schools for the free education of the children of Masons and for the relief of worthy and indignant Masons, their widows, and orphans. All right. Directly across from this magnificent Booth's Theater, okay? So as we can see, all of this is very interconnected. Oh, wow. On January 31st, 1884, the session was held in Grand Lodge Room, Lulu Temple, Philadelphia. All right. Visited Mecca and was cordially welcomed in February. Noble Reverend A. Buchanan, Moundsville, West Virginia, reported the losses sustained by his parish. All right. So as you see, they have it in Chicago. All right. Presented to Medina Temple a full set of gold jewels for the officers. In October, the temple met at Lyric Hall in 6th Avenue. On November 5th, a large number of nobles visited Lulu Temple in their new hall. The annual election was held, with the principal officers remaining the same. On December 19th, a grand installation ceremony was held, specifically dedicated to the ladies. An elaborate program was provided, comprising addresses, Arabic feasts, music, songs, ventriloquism, etc. A great many ladies were present, and thus began the ladies' reception, which have since developed into the court of the daughters of Isis. Number of members, 622, folks.
Unconquered tribe, you are now live with the incredible Hulk. Wow, this is Hulk School for the gifted and the elect.
On January 14th, 1885, the session was held at Lyric Hall to the sufferers by fire at Carthage. All right? Carthage, folks. $50 was donated. On January 29th, a special session of Mecca was held in the rooms of Pyramid Temple, Bridgeport, when 101 nobles of Mecca were present and were elegantly entertained. 51 neophytes were created, 7 being for Mecca. On March 23rd, nearly 100 nobles attended the funeral of Inspector T.W. Thorne, one of the members. On April 30th, Mecca entered the newly furnished rooms of Masonic Hall and held a jubilee. All right. On August 20th, a large number of nobles, here's the trip, and their ladies attended the annual excursion of Lulu Temple on the steamer Sirius to Roten Point Grove, Long Island Sound, and were well entertained. On October 29th, the shrine heard of the new arrival of a stranger in the precincts of the home of Noble Eakins, and a suitable gift was presented. All right. At the session of January 30th, 1886, services were held in commemoration of Mahmud el-Falaki, Sharif of Cairo Temple, Egypt. At the regular session of February 23rd, there were 350 nobles present. The general attendance for some time. On March 31st, the nobles presented illustrious Fleming with a copy of Catafagos, Arabic lexicon, in commemoration of the 15th year of the shrine. A delegation of nobles of Mecca Temple escorted the imperial officers to Cleveland, where the triennial session of the imperial body was held on June 14, 1886, and they were royally entertained. Noble Fleming gave place to Noble Sam Briggs as imperial pontiff, and Noble Eakins became deputy pontiff. A delegation of nobles of Mecca Temple escorted the imperial officers to Cleveland. All right. They were royally entertained. Noble Eakins became deputy pontiff. Noble James McGee was reelected Oriental guide, and Nobles Levy, treasurer, and Patterson, recorder, retained their offices. All right, they're just giving you the rundown on, and they're traveling through the town. They're on their tour. All right, you'll notice a lot of these guys do a lot of traveling. All right, when you're wondering why these guys are always traveling, well, because they're going to lodges, folks. All right. On February 25th, 1887, Noble W.D. Well, W.D. Farr? No, W.D. Garrison. On February 25th, 1887, Noble W.D. Garrison presented the Black Stone, procured from Mecca, with authentic letters and a full description. Wait, what, folks? Wait, what? Wait, what?
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. live with the incredible This is House School for the Gifted and the Elect.
To cover up the Aboriginal member of our people here in the West.
Son of man, hurt, you know what I mean? Yo.
Wait, stop the music, stop the music, stop the music, all right? I gotta read that again. It said on February 25th, 1887, Noble W.D. Garrison presented the black stone procured from Mecca. Now, some of these guys, Navi Poet, have no idea what procured means, all right? They procured the black stone from Mecca. They procured the black stone from Mecca. To get possession of something, folks. What year is this? What is really going on? What is really going on? And you know, I just did some research, and it come to find out they have fragments of the black stone on another stone inside of the silver case in Mecca. You can go do the research on this. Many scientists have tried to prove what this stone is made of. There's been many theories. All of them can only draw the same basic conclusions. It floats. It's one of a kind. It's ancient, and it's not from Earth, folks. You can go see for yourself. On February 25th, 1887, Noble W.D. Garrison presented the black stone procured from Mecca with authentic letters and a full description. It now adorns the altar. Wait, what? With authentic letter and a full description, it now adorns the altar. On March 31st, a stand of arms was presented to the temple of Noble John Worthington Council at Malta. A large number of Mecca nobles escorted the imperial officers to Indianapolis, where the annual session was held on June 20, followed by a splendid banquet. At the session of June 28th, a petition of 34 nobles to form Kismet Temple, Brooklyn, was recommended. On December 30th, Noble Peters was elected Pontonate and Noble E.S. Innett Chief Rabbin, the other principal officers remaining the same. Membership, 1,170. Let's go back here, folks. All right? A delegation of nobles of Mecca Temple escorted the imperial officers to Cleveland. All right, I went back too far. Here, October 29th, all right, W.D. Garrison announced that he had succeeded in obtaining a beautiful specimen of black stone from the precincts of the city of Mecca, which would be presented later at the sessions of membership. At the session of December 30th, the membership number passed 1,000 and reached 1,086. Membership, 1,018 annual election, retained the same principal officers. So you're telling me that they took the black stone from the Kaaba, and it's in New York? What?
What is real? How do you define real? Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
To cover up the Aboriginal member of our people here in the West.
Stop the music. What the fuck? Stop the goddamn music. So as you see, all right, and now that we know these people are supposed to be so learned, but they know absolutely nothing about Islam, folks. They teach us absolutely nothing about Islam, folks. They hate Islam. Court of Isis on October 30th, 1888. The officers at Mecca Temple established the Court of Isis for North America as an independent organization to bring into more intimate social relations the ladies of the nobles of the mystic shrine. Other courts can only be established by charter from Mecca Court and are under the sole guidance and protection of the officers of the shrine temple under which they are formed. It has regular initiations, laws, and jewels. Mecca Court meets nearly every month and includes an entertainment of great variety and interest. At the vigil in January, it is now customary to install the officers of Mecca, folks. And here you see the officers of Mecca: Isis, Majnun, Khadijah, Miriam, Aisha, Asiya, Fatima, Hagar, all right, Cleopatra, Martha, all right, and here's the Isis medal, all right, and these are all participants, all right, because, see, they couldn't get in Mecca, all right. On January 29th, 1890, Noble O.S. Long presented to the temple 2 large photographs of the city of Mecca and the interior of the Holy Kaaba sent by his brother, Reverend Dr. Long. They were enlarged from photographs taken with a detective camera at the risk of the owner's life. And these guys, they can't get in Mecca to this day, folks. This guy's talking about, oh, they're the keepers of the shrine. And what is the shrine? It is the shrine of Moorish science. Illustrious Noble W.J. Florence entered the Unseen Temple on November 19th, 1891 at the session of November 30th. Noble W.M. Fleming gave an eloquent and loving tribute to the memory of the father of the mystic shrine in America. On October 29th, the membership number 2,000 was passed. On December 29th, the annual election was held, Recorder Patterson retiring after a continuous service of 20 years. Noble S.R. Ellison became recorder. The principal officers being, as before, number of members 1,749. The roll of membership showed that 2,079 nobles had been created to this date. During 1892, albums were set apart for every temple, and all nobles were requested to send their photographs for preservation in Mecca's archives. I said, during 1892, albums were set apart for every temple, and all nobles were requested to send their photographs for preservation in Mecca's archive. A badge and a diploma were prepared for presentation to every pilgrimage who visits Mecca, conferring on him the honorary title of Haji. Shrine parties, pilgrimages, and ladies' nights were held as usual. A buttonhole badge with emblem of crescent, smiter, and quote-unquote Mecca was adopted. A proposition to have a grand carnival and entertainment peculiar to the shrine was agreed to with great enthusiasm. The work was begun to make the necessary arrangements, and the Madison Square Garden was engaged for January 26, 1893, and in the following year for January 16, 1894, and December 1893, the following were elected. All right. The membership reached the number of 2,816, folks. All right. And it just goes on and on. All right. Here's their money they're collecting. Since 1880, the temple has met nearly every month, and large numbers of candidates were received at every session. The ceremonies being given in full form, with music and all accessories required by the magnificent ritual. The attendance of the nobles often exceeded 600. Every session terminated with the traditional banquet, which was always superb. Large amounts were at various times donated to the sick and distressed, as well as in aid of many other worthy causes. And Esprit de Corps has been established by the order which dominates all other orders. And the social side touching the public has been firmly cemented. It is the supreme confraternity of fraternities. Looking back to the first meeting in 1871, we hold this wondrous growth of a new order, which the 68 temples and about 35,000 nobles in this jurisdiction incontrovertibly attest. The child reached its maturity in 21 years in 1893, and it is now a giant. The fitting climax was reached in the carnival of that year. All right. Temples of the Mystic Shrine. All right. Master Fard Muhammad brought Islam to America. Noble Drew Ali woke us up to Islam. Nobody knew anything about Islam. These people had absolutely no names, folks. All right? Name, Abdallah. These are the temples of the mystic shrines and their locations. Per the Mecca Temple, Ancient Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. And I'm sure this is a primary source.
Subscribe to the Unconquered Tribe. You are now live with the incredible host.
Wow,
This
Indian
is Hope
TV.
School for the Gifted and the Elect.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Navi Poet. Is the Esprit de Corps, is that the spirit of the dead? Or? Peace to Aniya Nuia, Nike 903, you know I see you. Noble Akeem, Kadar, Bay L, Tribe, Peace and Bliss, Terrence Slaughter, Iron Scar, Smoke Signal, Tribe, King Serpentine, Cash House, Greatest. I think I shouted some of you out. I shot you out again. Eastside 1415, Redskin, Chiefess She-Hawk, especially Navarre's, Cherokee, Tribe, Taz CEO, 2 a.m., Love, Light, and Flight, Certified Sachi. Let me get Certified Sachi, his Tomahawk, man. Boom. Drake Cobb Music, HSV Overwatch, Navi Poet, I say it again. Strive for Jana, Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullah, Black Robert, Truth Master Dre, Mama Chief, Love, Light, and Flight, Brandon Rogers. Put some gems in the chat, you know, and I shout you out before we wrap up this reading. All right. And I know it's been quite a bit to digest. All right. Shout out Chuck Jackson in the chat, Tribe, Epic Studies, Sunshine, Love, Light, and Flight, Equator 7, Tribe. Peace to the unconquered elect. All right, so here we have a list of actual temples. All right, they're setting this up. They're building a world on top of us, folks. All right, they're making their own system. If we won't let them in the club, well, they're going to create their own club, their own countries, right beneath our noses. And these people have become willing participants, so much so that they are trying to write these people into our history by saying such nonsense as Vikings, Teutons, being the Melanchroy Scots of the Highlands. Abdullah Temple, Leavenworth, Kansas. The Akka, Richmond, Virginia. Afifi, Tacoma, Washington. The Ahmed, Marquette, Michigan. Aleppo, Boston, Massachusetts. Aladdin, Columbus, Ohio. Algeria, Helena, Montana. Alchemia, Memphis, Tennessee. Alhambra, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Al-Qadir, Portland, Oregon. Al-Quran, Cleveland, Ohio. Al-Malaika, Los Angeles, California. Almas, Washington, D.C. Ararat, Kansas City, Missouri. Now, what I find very interesting, folks, is that all of these names are new. Ballot Abiad, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ben-Hur, Austin, Texas. Baumi, Baltimore, Maryland. Cyprus, Albany, New York. Damascus, Rochester, New York. Al Jebel, Denver, Colorado. Al-Kahir. I mean, it just goes on and on, folks. Take a screenshot, all right? Jerusalem, New Orleans, Louisiana. We know of no organization, no matter what its character, that has catered so largely and so liberally to the pleasure, amusement, and entertainment of not alone its membership, but their families. As this order of the Mystic Shrine of North America, it has brought into social and friendly communion the Masons of prominence and their lady relatives all over this broad land. Now, remember, these are Slavs, folks. All right? It has brought into social and friendly communion the Masons of prominence and their lady relatives all over this broad land. It is fittingly termed the social club of the country, folks. It is the only institution of a social nature that is universal throughout North America. Go where you will. The emblematic tiger claw crescent is the, and I quote, open sesame to good fellowship and ensures a warm greeting. Our purpose here is not alone to enlighten the membership who, through business or family cares, have been unable to participate in any of the pilgrimages as to what they have missed in the way of instructive sightseeing, and how liberally and hospitably we have been received and royally entertained, but at the same time to show in cold type to those who have showered their attentions and courtesies upon us, as they have not been forgotten, and that they will ever remain treasured as bright memories of good times experienced at their hands and solid friendships formed. The Shriners of the Metropolitan District, who have never been beyond its precincts, know nothing of the good existing in the order. He takes the degree in outside of the regular and social meetings of his temple. He is wrapped up in business, no time for aught else. Let him go out into the country, experience as have we, the whole-souled meetings and greetings that beset him, and he'll appreciate, as did the Shriner's little daughter, who sent the letter to Mecca Temple after her visit to the Shrine Children's Matinee, when she wrote, she was so glad her papa was a Shriner. From our experience, we say without the fear of contradiction that any mortal who has trod the sands and wears a pair of claws will never get lost in these United States. The Order of the Mystic Shrine, although introduced into this country and Americanized early in the 70s, it was not until 1877, when really the first pilgrimage was made, that it began to spread its roots and develop strength. Cypress Temple in the city of Albany on the 6th of February was visited by the Imperial Council, then but a year old, and a delegation of Mecca Temple. Later in the same year, a number of Mecca nobles, amongst whom were noble blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. They're literally going on pilgrimage across the U.S., all right, on their newly found railroad tracks, all right? The occasions were made specially pleasant. The party domiciled at the Weddell House where noble Charles T. Wesley, the proprietor, cared for every want in grand style. A delegation of nobles of all Quran, headed by the Pontinate Sam Briggs and G.O.M. Burt, were on hand to escort to a hotel and to place of meeting of Al Quran Temple, where the party of pilgrims witnessed the progress made by 14 poor sons of the desert, eager for knowledge. Arab songs and music from an excellent band interspersed the ceremonies, causing a charming effect. 11 p.m. closed the ceremonies and commenced the festivities. Wait, 11 p.m.? 150 being seated at the festive board, Noble Sam Briggs presiding and Toastmaster. Speeches, songs, recitations, and stories caused the hours to pass rapidly. The following day was devoted to seeing the city from Baruch's. Euclid Avenue with its broad, handsome lawns and residences of varied architecture. So they're just going on tour across everything they just stole from us, folks. 1882, April 24th, 25th. Detroit, Michigan was the next city invaded. I said invaded. By the pilgrims of Mecca, among whom were noble Walter Fleming. All right, these guys going all over town. As was the previous pilgrimage to Cleveland, so was this, a source of considerable amusement en route, fun extracted from everything and everybody. On arrival at Detroit, we were escorted to the Russell House. The nobles of the Muslim temple, the nobles of the Muslim temple had not as yet conferred the order in full. They had unusually large numbers of candidates in waiting. All right, and these are the Moorish guys that you guys are connected to? 1883, August 7th to September 1st, San Francisco, California. Here was the greatest distance traveled by any of our pilgrimages up to date, and here was introduced the innovation which has proved so successful and pleasant, the addition of the Shriners' families to the pilgrimages, in company with the New York State Battalion of Knights Templar en route over the Erie, Grand Trunk, B&Q, Denver, and Rio Grande, and Central Pacific Railroads to attend the festivities in connection with the 22nd Triennial of the Grand Encampment of the Knights Templars of the United States. All right. You guys are related to these people? You guys are related to these people. Is that what you're telling me? These are the Moors? The pilgrims for the nonce became boys again, quote unquote, with all kinds of old-time games and tricks, spiders, horns, 4th of July cigars, thank you, etc. were indulged both going and returning. Old-time songs collated and printed in book form and styled melodies for the pilgrims of Mecca whilst traversing the desert sands, New York and Chicago, were distributed, and at all hours could be heard strains of quote-unquote Old Black Joe, Sweet By and By, etc., etc. There was very little sleep indulged or permitted on the outgoing trip. The soul of mischief pervaded the party. At every station, the platform was filled with spectators who quaintly inquired who these fez-bedecked Arabs were. By some, they were styled as the Mystic Shrine Opera Company and the Mystic Shrine Baseball Club. At Valparaiso, some distance this side of Chicago, the party was increased by some 20 of Medina Temple's nobles who had started out from Chicago the night before as a committee to welcome us. With them were a dozen dusky darkies, arrayed in Arab costumes, supplied with liquid delights, which they gave to the weary and thirsty pilgrims. The entire party were met at the depot at 8:30 a.m. the morning of the 18th and escorted to the Grand Pacific Hotel. It was open house in Chicago to all Mecca sojourners. Carriage ride through the principal portion of the city at 10 a.m. and out to the driving park, where refreshments ad lib were served Returned to the hotel at 4 p.m. At 5 p.m., a reception tendered the Imperial Council in Mecca, and in the evening, the degree was conferred in full and form by the officers of Mecca Temple upon 52 candidates. At the close of ceremonies, the party was escorted to the banquet hall where justice was done to splendid repasts. The following day, coaches called for Mecca nobles who were shown the great stockyards and its working, etc., as well as other places of note. A special exhibition of police and insurance patrols and fire department was also witnessed. And at 8:30 p.m., the 19th, under escort, all right, we boarded our train with many regrets at parting and assalamu alaikum from Medina's nobles and started for the Empire State, all speaking in the highest terms, and the reception and good time experience while sojourning in Chicago. Everybody's involved, folks, in covering up who you are, all right? It's just too much. I'm too triggered. 33 in the chat. If you're new here, this is what we do here. I am the Incredible Hawk, and this is Hawk School for the Gifted and the Elect. And we are broadcasting live from the emphatically immaculate Republic of Atlantis.
Dom de Marco. Dom de Marco.